Hi guys, today we are going to use our Prismacolor Premiere Basic set of 12 pencils, the set, to color in short curly fur. And these are the colors we have, and this is the type of fur that we'll be doing. We did the short fur the other day, and so now we're going to do the short curly fur. Just using these basic supplies of the 12 set of pencils, a long point pencil sharpener, a mini Tombow, it's called a Mono Zero by Tombow eraser. You can get it like this with the rectangular tip, or you can get a round tip. I have a blending stump, and I don't think I'll need my stylus today, but I have it around. And I also have a kneaded eraser, and then this little thing that I just use to blow, I use it to puff pencil dust and eraser dust away. So let's dive right in and get some curl going on here. So I'm going to start out with the canary yellow, and I'm just going to draw in some light curls out of the fur. Just kind of getting some basic curl shapes down as I see them in my reference photo. Like I'm doing right here, some of this right here, some of this here, and here. And just kind of bringing in some of those lighter shapes. Come over here, and then a little bit down here. Not worrying about being too precise. Fur texture is not something that you need to have like 100% exact. You just need to get the basic shapes in and texture. You do want to pay attention though, like if the value is changing in the fur because it's going over a shape, you want to make sure to indicate that value change in the right spot so that the form of your animal shows up correctly. All right, I'm going to come in now with a little bit of the sienna brown and start filling in some of these in-between spaces where it's a darker value. Again, this is just kind of a light base color. Don't want to put down anything too heavy now. I just want to get my basic shapes mapped out over on this light side in particular. I'm also just putting in like minimal thought of direction of fur and like texture and things like that. Just kind of generally going with the direction of the fur, but not being very precise about it at all. Picking up some areas that are, picking out some areas that are of darker value to get those in, just to help me keep my place of where I am in this fur texture. It's easy to get lost really quickly in all of these spots. Okay, now I've moved on to the dark brown. Putting on a layer of that, working to build up these values in the shadow and the recesses between the curls. Applying just a little bit more pressure now to lay down more of the value of this dark brown color. And paying a little bit more attention to my edges around the light areas. So I'm trying to define those a little bit better using this darker value brown. Lightening up as it's a lighter value. And then putting more pressure on as it's a darker value. I'm bringing in some dark pencil strokes into the lighter yellow just to kind of define individual hairs. Putting on another layer of the dark brown where it's really nice and dark in this area. Okay, I'm going to come over here and start building in some of these values. I just wanted to get those lights set in there. And I typically prefer to start from this upper left corner as I am right-handed. And this way I don't drag my pen or my hand through what I've already drawn. But I wanted to make sure to really get these lights blocked in before I started anything else. And this is all a lot darker over here on this side, and so I'm not worrying so much about mapping in the clumps of fur as much, only where I've picked out a couple lighter spots, like right here and right here and here. Some of these tips, I'll make sure to hold those back as lighter areas. But for the most part, this is all going to be darker than the value I'm putting down right now. Sorry, my dog wants out of the kennel, and there he goes. So my reference photo is almost square, whereas my area to draw here is a little bit rectangular, and so I'm going to actually have to move this, like cut off this part of the drawing and scoot everything over and have this be my outer edge. I just realized things weren't going to line up the way I was doing it. looks a little better. I know it looks pretty messy and chaotic right now, but stick around, it'll come together in the end. Okay, I'm going to go in with the canary yellow now. Oops, I forgot I wasn't doing this side. I'm trying to erase that so I don't get caught up in doing that the whole time. Let's see, I don't have a marker handy, so I'll just use my black to draw that line in there. Okay, try that again. I'm putting the yellow down in the areas that have the kind of yellow lighter highlights in it, so that those are there and I can build up around them. I'm going to come in with some of the orange now and put a layer of that down over everything. Over everything except for my lightest lights. Back in with the sienna brown. And now I'm going to break it down into smaller sections so that I can stay focused on the area that I'm actively drawing. That just kind of helps me build it up, build it up a little bit better that way. I don't get so caught up in the big, like how do I want to say this? I can focus on one smaller area at a time and match those areas of light and value to build up the correct texture. I can do it better if I focus on a smaller area at a time than I do if I focus on a bigger area. I tend to be less precise and more chaotic when I go on too large of an area. Hopefully that made sense. Sorry, my dogs can't make up their mind if they want in their kennel or out of their kennel right now. They're kind of going back and forth. And my drawing surface is on top of their kennel. All right, I'm going to try, let's see. I'm going to clean off the point of my blending stump a little bit because it's got a lot of blue-gray on it from my last drawing. And so I'm just going to smudge it out on a blank spot on my paper, like a different paper, scrap paper. All right, and now I'm going to go in here and start blending. Don't press too hard with your blending stump. You don't want to smush down all of the tooth of your paper. You just want enough pressure to mix the colors some and see if you're getting close to what you were hoping for with your color mix. Now, if you don't have enough color down on your paper, if you haven't put down enough layers of color, this isn't going to really make much of a difference. So you need to make sure that you're putting enough color down before you start trying to blend it out. I'm going in with some black now to build up that value and the really dark areas. Come in with some orange. And some yellow over the top of that. back in with the blending stump. Again, not a super hard amount of pressure. I'm going to come in with the dark brown. I'm going to really start, I'm going to sharpen this up a little bit. The tip is just a little more dull than I would like it. Because now I'm going to start picking out some of the details a little bit more and starting to define the curls in here. So it's all pretty fuzzy, no pun intended. It's all pretty, let's say, unfocused right here. There's not, like, the detail isn't very sharp and clear like it is more over here. So I'm just going to do some really soft details in this section. They're not going to be super obvious, but they're there nonetheless. So that means your edge transitions are going to be really soft. No hard edges. Smooth transitions. And this is all just a little bit too orange for me. And so what do we do when we want to tone down a color? We pull it out its opposite on the color wheel. This is tricky because in this pencil set, you have a violet blue, which is a very, very cool blue. It's almost purple. And then you have the true blue, which is a very green blue. And so orange would, the complement to this orange would technically be right in the middle. Like that blue would be right in the middle between these two. So because we have these two varying blues, it makes it a little bit trickier to put down the complementary color. And so I'm going to try just a little bit of this violet blue and see if that gets me close enough. And that's looking pretty good. I think the other one would have shifted it too warm, and I really wanted to cool it down. And this will also help me build up some of those middle values a little bit better. So really light pressure. I don't want a lot of this color down. I don't want this to be blue. I want it to be brown and orange. I want really warm colors. But in a few places, I need to cool those colors down because they're too saturated. All right. So now I'm going to take my blending stump again and go back in here and blend that out. And now when you compare the two, you can see that's a lot closer to what we're looking for. Probably could go even darker in value, but I kind of like the orange in there. I want to pull that out a little bit more than it is in the photo. So I'm going to leave that just because I tend to like to push my colors a little bit more. Otherwise, if you don't want to do that, you could go back in with some more of that violet blue and tone that orangey color down just a little bit more to get it a little bit more identical to the reference photo. Okay, I'm going to bring in some black here because this is a really dark value spot. back in with the dark brown because there's too much black right there and it needs a little bit more brown on it. All right, I've lost my point on this guy. There we go. So I'm going to start putting in individual strands. And now I'm going to really make these pencil strokes mimic the direction of the hairs. Lost the point on that guy. Okay, coming in with some more yellow. I'm going to use a little bit of white in here. Go on with some black over here. Some more white over here. Actually, I think I want to go in with this violet blue and tone down a little bit of this yellow and orange. Try some of the violet over the yellow. All right, now I'm going to take our blending stump and see what that does. Okay. with some orange over here. And some yellow. I'm going to bring in some of the violet blue in this clump. There's a recessed area. Just continuing to build up the various layers and work up the values. Sometimes drawing this fur is, it looks like a big old mess until all of a sudden everything kind of comes together. So have faith as you're doing this. Just keep working on it and keep trying. But I mean, like you can tell right now that this is really chaotic and it's hard to tell exactly where it's headed. But like up here, this isn't looking too far off from what the reference photo looks like. So you can tell we're getting there. Coming in with some of the dark brown, building up those values and the shadows and the between the tufts of lighter fur. Okay, I'm going to bring in some of this violet blue to help build up the value and some of these shadows a little bit better. And also to tone down some of the areas that are just a little too bright with the orange and the yellow. A little too saturated in that color. I don't want to change the value too much. I just want to tone down how yellow it is, how orange it is. Okay, so I'm going to take my blending stick out now and work on blending some of these colors together. Okay, let's see. I'm going to bring in a little bit of white in here. Just lighten up some of these areas, use it to blend the colors a little bit more. Just lightening up some of these tufts of fur. All right, coming in with some of this, what is it, sienna brown. Sharpen this up a little better. Okay. This section got a little green in here, so I want to kind of touch that up so it's not so green. And sharpen up this dark brown. Use it to put in some more shadows and some individual hair strokes. So what I'm doing here is kind of defining the negative space around the tufts of hair. So I'm putting in those shadows that are around the brighter parts, which helps define the tufts a little bit better and show that depth and show off the height of the curl. Okay, I'm going to come back in with some of the violet blue and darken up these shadow areas. Okay, I'm going to put some black over some of those blue areas. Keep them from being too blue. And I'm drawing the black into some of the lighter areas to kind of show the texture of the fur, that like it's different lengths, the tufts of hair are different lengths, there's some individuality between them. You want some randomness to your fur texture. You don't want it to be uniform. Although we've got a fairly decent amount of chaos going on in these curls, so I think we're okay there. So up here, I'm kind of getting to the final layers of what the paper is going to be able to take, especially right in here. So I need to get it to where I'm pretty happy with it. And it's awfully yellow in there right now. So I want to bring it down a little bit from how yellow it is. So I'm going to put some of this violet blue over the top it with some of the white, and that will, between the two, the violet blue will help take out the saturation of the yellow and like mute that golden color just a little bit, and the white will help cool it down and make it a little lighter. And I'm pressing fairly hard now using this white because I want it to, I want to use that pressure to mix the colors underneath it. And now I'm going to go back over all of those areas with my blending stump and mix the white in as well. I can barely see any more paper, any grains of the paper or pieces of paper left in this section anymore, so we've got it pretty well covered. And those fibers are smushed down. I'm using my blending stump to mimic the curls, like follow along with the chunks of fur. I'm still picking up quite a bit of green in here, so I think I'm going to go over it one more time with some orange and see if I can push it that way. I'm not super happy with all that green that's coming through. So let's see how I fix that. Make this more of a warm russet color. Going over all of these lighter areas, or the areas that are fairly green tinged, with this orange. And again, this is because the pencils that we have, the colors are just of the blue is just kind of off a little bit, and it's hard to get that complementary color mix going quite so well with those, and so just a little bit of back and forth. I could have tried with the purple, the straight violet, and probably kept away from some of those greens. That might have worked a little bit better, but we're getting there. And it's good to know how to fix something when it's not turning out quite how you want it to. It's good to know how you can go back and fix it, because Lord knows there's no erasing this at this point. I can only keep building up and try and fix it from there. All right, so now I'm going to keep working over here. Some dark brown. Kind of mapping in some of my bigger shapes here. As I do this center section right here. One of my dogs is outside growling at something. He doesn't sound too upset yet, so I think he's got it, but he's not happy about something. The other two dogs don't seem too perturbed yet either, so he sure is talking. Okay, let me bring in some black in here. Just building up all of those layers. Same thing. You just keep working on it, kind of keeping the same shapes and directions of tufts of fur as what you see in your reference photo, and just build up what you're seeing. Back in the kennel. I guess he turned out fine, whatever it was that was bugging him. He's done with it, and now he's back inside. Silly dogs. Okay, I want to push the lighter parts a little bit more towards this yellow. That'll later cool down. That's not, it's hard getting quite this color of the fur, but we get it pretty close, so that's okay. Okay, I'm going to go in with my blending stump now and get all this mixed together. See where we are. Okay, I'm also going to come in with some black. Okay, now we're going to blend this some more. All right, now I'm going to go over some of these lighter areas with the white and pick out some of the highlights in the fur. And use it to cool down where it's a little too warm in some spots. Okay. Put a little bit of orange over some of these white areas, see if it'll pick it up a little bit. And another touch of yellow. Just trying to bring them out a little bit more. And some more white over the top. Okay, and now I'm going to sharpen the black back up to a nice point. Got some crumbs on there. I could get a little bit better point on that. There we go. And I'm going to come in here and define some of these tufts a little better. And do the same thing with the dark brown. Okay. So now on to this last part, this last third of the reference photo. put some white down just to kind of hold off some of these lights by putting the wax of the white down. It kind of helps other darker colors. It resists them a little bit more than if I didn't put it down. And there's some really light tufts in here that I want to make sure I don't get a little overzealous with a darker pencil and take them out. Because I tend to do that. I get a little bit bored drawing really precise fur, which is kind of why normally I would probably prefer to do this type of fur with pastel pencils, because it works a little bit better for my style. I don't get as bored, and I can carve out, like once I have the overall tone, I can then carve out each of the individual curls, and it works a little bit better for my style. Where this, you can tell that like I get a little lost in trying to retain those lighter colors so much. But by using the white pencil, it will help me where it's much lighter and it really needs to stay lighter. That helps me keep it that way. And so just kind of depending on your style, you may really enjoy the process of drawing out this fur and find it really relaxing and calming, and kind of getting lost in each of the little hairs and getting them laid in very precisely. It's very delicate and precise work, and some people really, really love that. And, you know, other people don't. And either way, it's okay. Just play to your strengths. Figure out what you like to do, how you like to do it, and make that work for you. There are no hard and fast rules. Do you see here I'm putting down this brown, and it's kind of not going down as much as it is right here, and that's because there's a layer of white on there that is resisting the color, so that's very helpful. Okay, I'm going to do a pass over this with the blending stump. Okay. Go back in with the dark brown. Just build up some of this middle value here. I'm picking out some little clumps in here to define and show the curl and the texture. Okay, I'm going to come in with the black now and push these shadows back in. Okay, let's blend this out and see where we are. We're getting there. Okay, let's go in here with some more white. Back in with the blending stuff. Not quite so much pressure right now. I don't want to lose the white on top too much. I want that to stay up there. Just because it lightens it and cools it off a little bit. And that's what I'm looking for right here. Okay, maybe a little bit of yellow in here in a few places. And some orange. Seems a little bright, maybe not too much orange. Okay, I'm going to push these shadows back in a little bit more, really kind of define out these clumps. Bring in some individual pieces of hair, show the curves of them. Sharpen up my dark brown to a better point. Okay. I'm going to go in, bring in some more strokes of fur. And again, where I've already put the white down, it's not letting me put down a whole lot of these other darker colors, which is good. That's what I wanted it to do. Okay, this last little bit of white. And one final pass with the blending stump. So there you have it. You have the curly fur texture.